All right, so we're at 11:02. Give some time for people to join in. It is a short session, so I want to make sure we're kind of cognizant of time here. But I am Damien. I'm hosting today on behalf of Channel Engine. I'm based here in New York City. Technically, I'm in Florida today, but our office, our U.S. headquarters, is in New York City. But I lead our channel partnerships, acting as the bridge between our clients, our staff, and our numerous external channel partners, which includes a wonderful team over at Macy's. We know your time is incredibly valuable, so we're cramming as much as we can into a 30-minute call. So that said, we're going to go straight into it, and it's all about growth. It's all about unlocking a new channel, specifically how you can scale on Macy's. There's tons of channels out there. Macy's is doing it really, really well. I mean, it's an iconic, giant retailer that really has transformed into a digital powerhouse. So today we'll peel back that curtain of how your brand can leverage that massive loyal customer base. Before we proceed with the conversation, for those of you not too familiar with Challenge, and I would assume most of you are familiar, so I'll make this very, very brief. But we are a multi-channel management software, aka an integrator. So what does that mean? We assist with channel introductions, activation on channels, and more importantly, the syndication of your products, content, pricing, inventory, and remit order status in near real time to really 1,300 plus channels. So our goal is to help brands move away from managing their e-commerce business in a fragmented, messy, I like to say inefficient way, and do it through one login, one software, so you can manage an entire global sales op. So you plug in your Shopify, NetSuite, SAP, your PIM, WMS, basically any source for your products into Challenge and in turn unlock those marketplaces. So if you're interested to learn more, if you don't know about us and you haven't spoken to us before, reach out. Our contact information is at the end, and we look forward to speaking with you. Moving on, I want to pass it on to our guests. It's not just me speaking. It's not just me talking about Channel Engine. We have two guests today. Roy, I will pass it to you for introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here. Really excited to chat about Macy's Marketplace today. I am Roy Fong. I am a senior manager on the business development team here at Macy's, and my focus is on the home categories. So generally speaking, I help identify, recruit, launch brands across different categories within our home business. And that normally includes our typical soft and hard home categories, but we also focus on what we call new and adjacent categories like consumer electronics, outdoor rec and fitness, as well as pets. I would say that a huge part of my role is to make sure that we're bringing on the right brands in the right categories for our customers, then obviously helping these brand partners understand what it takes to launch and have long-term success with us. All of this is to really support our company's new bold chapter, which is our transformation strategy to make Macy's even more customer-centric and a complete destination for our customers.
Elisa, how about an introduction for RG Barry?
Hi, everyone. I am Elisa Caldwell, and I'm the Director of Marketplaces for RG Berry Brands. I oversee marketplace strategy across the brand portfolio with a focus on channel growth, partner relationships, assortment strategy, promotional planning, and operational readiness. For context, RG Berry is a heritage brand platform founded in Ohio in 1947, focused on customer-led, digital-first, comfort-driven lifestyle brands. Our portfolio includes Dearfoams, Baglini, Gola, alongside licensings like Clark's and Timberland, with a broader purpose of making life more comfortable through the brands built around comfort, innovation, and sustainability. For Dearfoams specifically, Macy's Marketplace has been a really important partner for us. And for our marketplace business. Dearfoams is one of the most recognized name brands in slippers, with over 1 billion slippers sold, more than 30 million pairs sold annually, and consistent leadership as the #1 slipper brand in unit market share across all genders. The brand has also been recognized 3 times by Oprah's Favorite Things, which speaks to the strength of Dearfoams as both a comfort and gifting brand. As we look ahead to fall and winter 2026, Dearfoams is continuing to build on that foundation with a collection centered around comfort, innovation, seasonal gifting, family moments, holiday novelty, and premium construction like our fireside genuine shearling. You can see featured on the slide some of our key seasonal stories and top selling styles. What I'm excited to talk to you about today is not just the launch itself, but how the partnership evolved over time with a lot of collaboration, testing, and learning.
Beauty. Awesome. So we have 30 minutes scheduled, as I mentioned, so we'll go through most of that time. We have the chat there. Some of you have used already. So put any questions you have. We'll try to get to them as they come in. If not, we'll try to get to them at the end. But if we can't get to them, just from time constraints, we can get in touch afterwards. The call will be recorded, so if you want to come back to it, you can. But for the content, it's basically all about how to grow on Macy's, what the process is when you're on with Macy's, and then how to do well. So let's get right into it. Roy, most people think of Macy's as an apparel destination. I think you touched upon it before, where it's a multitude of different categories. But what categories are actually driving growth on the marketplace today?
Yeah, I think in terms of us being an apparel destination, I think that's probably our biggest misconception about us today. So fashion is definitely incredibly important for our business and always will be. But I think in terms of today, our customer shops across their entire lifestyle, not just for their wardrobe. I think on the marketplace side, we're seeing huge growth in terms of core categories like apparel, right? We have center core business that includes beauty, men's, and kids. Then obviously your standard, your core categories within the home, like furniture. All those are doing great. But I think we're also seeing industry leading brands join us and be very successful in these new and adjacent categories. I think what makes this opportunity really unique is that our customers doesn't shop in a silo per se, but instead they think of a specific moment in mind. An example that I always like to use, so think about a customer that might come to us looking for a dress for a destination wedding they have coming up, right? But then they also end up buying that wedding gift on Macy's, and then maybe a pair of new headphones along with it, right, to use on their trip over to that destination wedding. So I think that's why the marketplace program is such a big part of our strategy, because it allows us to kind of expand our assortment for our customers and then still maintaining that curated experience that they expect from us.
So then for a brand that sells something more like you mentioned home goods or pet accessories, how would you make the case for Macy's if they're evaluating different channels?
Yeah, I think I would say the biggest thing I would point to is really customer trust. So we have spent a lot of time building relationships with our customers, and that's around some of their biggest moment in life, right? Think about furnishing a new home, maybe their first apartment, right? Preparing for the holidays, celebrating milestones. I think all those moments naturally extend just beyond apparel. I think whether our partners sell home goods or pet accessories or wellness products, what you're doing is you enter an environment where customers are really looking with a lifestyle like moment in mind rather than just a specific product. At the end of the day, they're also not just searching for the lowest prices. So what they're doing is they go to Macy's and they tend to look for brands and products that can relate to or is relevant to them, so to speak, at a retailer space that they already trust.
So if we move on, if we're talking about the consumer, the customer there that's shopping, they tend to buy apparel, but they come back for other categories and they're comfortable with Macy's, right? So can you paint a picture of that customer, who they are, who are they buying for?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, what comes to mind is that our customer is incredibly engaged and remarkably loyal. One thing I think it surprises a lot of our partners is that Macy's customers aren't just shopping for themselves. They're often shopping for the entire household, right? Whether it is for their children, outfitting their home, for their holiday, celebrating, a milestone, or just everyday living. I think what it does is that it encourages a lot of cross shopping between multiple categories. So it is very common for a customer that comes to Macy's who buys an apparel, but also shop in other categories like home, beauty, active, wellness, right? And that happens throughout the year. So I think that's one of the reasons why multi-category brands are often very successful with us, because they're entering a broader lifestyle ecosystem rather than just a single destination, place for them to shop.
Makes sense. So then for brands who are already, let's just say, omnipresent, or mostly omnipresent, they're already on Amazon, they're on Target, they're on maybe Walmart, they have their Shopify site, and they are looking to come to Macy's, what would be that incremental argument to say, hey, let's take action, launch Macy's?
I would always encourage for brands and partners not to think of us just as another sales channel. We offer a really specialized and highly loyal customer base, like I mentioned, but they also shop very differently than in other channels. So we take a very curated approach instead of an open marketplace concept. So the brands, they're not really necessarily competing with endless products, right? So for many brands, it's more about adding a differentiated relationship instead of just adding another channel to their sales channel.
So you gave the Macy's side of this, gave your input from your experience. Let's go to the brand side. So Lisa, you had several marketplace opportunities when you initially launched Macy's, which wasn't recent. You've been on there for a bit now. What made Macy's stand out? What was ultimately the factors that convinced you to start selling there?
Okay, so what's interesting for us about Macy's is it wasn't really a new partnership. Dearfoams already had a long-standing relationship with Macy's through the wholesale and dropship side of the business. So there was really already brand familiarity, customer overlap, and trust between the teams. What made the marketplace opportunity compelling was that it allowed us to think differently about the business. Our dropship assortment was really focused on our classic slipper business, but we also had other parts of the Dearfoams portfolio, like our Fireside Genuine Shearling product, where we wanted to have more control over the catalog setup, pricing, and overall product experience. Macy's gave us an opportunity to test that. Rather than moving everything over at once, we started with a strategic selection of products. This approach allowed us to compare the two models side by side, learn how customers responded, understand where we could create the best experience for the shopper, and then make a more informed decision with Macy's team about how to evolve the partnership. Kind of piggybacking on what Roy was saying, is I do think the Macy's customer is also different from who we see on our other channels. There's a strong loyalty component, and for a comfort-driven brand like Dearfoams, that matters. These customers understand the brand, they come back to the brand, they often shop Macy's with a specific level of trust in the product and the partner. So ultimately, Macy's stood out because it gave us the opportunity to grow with an existing strategic partner, reach a loyal and somewhat different customer base, and gain more control over our brand showing up digitally.
So it sounds like you didn't just launch everything on there and then set it and forget it. You came back to it in a very tactical way where you launched, you measured, you adjusted, and then from there you iterated. So, and that's such a key to success. Often we see brands that just launch on a channel. Maybe they don't have success because they didn't put the best content out there. They didn't adjust pricing. They didn't play with the listing. So it's good to see that you did that and had success. Moving on, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but Macy's has been around for quite some time. Matter of fact, I think if you look up the statistics on brands or companies that have been around for longer than 50 years, it's a very small percentage. Brands that have been around for double that, it's fractional amount of a percent. So Macy's has been doing this for a long time. So given the milestone, Roy, what should brands know when it comes to being a part of the celebration of Macy's having, I think, was 100 years, right?
Well, it's 100 Thanksgiving Day parade that we're going to be hosting. So I think it is really special for us, right? Because it represents much more than just another anniversary. I think Macy's has been ingrained into the American culture for generations. When you think about an iconic retail moment, events like our Thanksgiving Day parade, our 4th of July fireworks is usually right near at the top of that list. So I think this year was even more meaningful because our 50th 4th of July fireworks event, which was, I would say a week ago, coincided with America's 250, right? So that was really special. And then, of course, we'll be hosting our 100th Thanksgiving parade later this year. So I think in terms of milestones, that speak to the legacy of Macy's, right? Our tradition, the unique role that Macy's has played into the American culture for different generation of customers. I think in terms for the brands, I think it's important because it creates a lot of awareness. That brings out more engagement, right? So storytelling opportunities there throughout the year for our customers and for our partners. So in terms of what customers will do is that they'll pay attention more to the Macy's, brand in general, and then naturally that creates opportunities for the brands. I think the bigger message here that I want to kind of translate to the brands is that when they partner with us, they're aligning themselves to one of the most recognized retail brands in the country.
So you mentioned about brands seeking, I guess, awareness, where it comes down to really visibility. So if we move on that topic, that is a key factor. So often when we're talking with brands, us the channel engine, and we're looking at and evaluating channels, it's will my product be found or will my product be relevant given that marketplace? In the case of Macy's, we don't have apparel. Will our product be buried? How can we be found? But yeah, I think it's a very relevant topic. So the question then, beyond just a standard product search, walk us through what other means are available for consumers to find those products, whether it's, I guess, editorial pages, landing pages, some type of personalization. Yeah, what can they leverage?
Yeah, I would say definitely discovery on Macy's goes beyond just search. Of course, you can always find products, right? The searchability is there. It can definitely happen through navigation. But then as you mentioned, we also have curated collections. We have seasonal shops, editorial contents, and we have personalized recommendations. I think most of you, the audience here, knows that we have many promotional campaigns throughout the year as well. And all this together will help our customer find all the amazing products that we have. I think one thing that is very unique with Macy's is that we merchandise around the customer needs, right, for that specific lifestyle moment, instead of just giving them an endless amount of products to search through. I think that's why great storytelling matters so much with our partners. So having strong imagery, having compelling information, content, and then of course you have the basics, right? Have your competitive pricing, have inventory availability. All of that is going to play a major role in terms of helping products get discovered on site.
Nice. So, Elisa, what activation or merchandising opportunities or promotional moments helped you gain brand traction on Macy's? And ultimately, what did you learn from it?
So the biggest turning point for us has been the promotional participation. When we first launched on Macy's Marketplace, we were not leaning into the Macy's promotional calendar. We were live, but we were not really seeing the visibility or the sales ramp that we believed the brand could have on the platform. So towards the end of 2024, we decided to start participating in some of Macy's promotional events. That was a meaningful shift for us, and we started to see promotional participation was not only about discounting a specific product, it was also about gaining visibility, showing up where the customer was already shopping, and creating a halo effect across the broader assortment. That was especially important for us because Dearfoams has a MAP policy, so we have to be really thoughtful. We cannot simply promote everything all the time. What we did learn was that we could use our discontinued or off-map styles or even select event-appropriate items to participate strategically while still protecting the broader brand and pricing strategy. I will say that the process does take some planning. On average, our team spends about 4 to 5 hours per month setting up campaigns for the upcoming month. At a high level, we review all available promotions in Miracle, identify the discount and category requirements, and then evaluate our SKU level pricing, margin, inventory, map status, and then from there submit the final promotional pricing and selected styles through the Macy's template in Miracle. The effort has been worth it in the long run, and the test and learn approach ended up being one of the biggest drivers of Macy's becoming a top growth channel for the Dearfoams marketplace channels that I oversee. The key learning was that the marketplace success is not just about getting products live. You need an activation strategy. You need to understand how the retailer's customer shops, and then what moments matter on that platform, and how to participate in a way that supports both growth and brand integrity.
Yeah, I definitely want to jump in as well. I think to Elisa's point, I think from our perspective, the brands that are the most visible are usually the brands that execute the fundamentals the best. So obviously participating in key promotion and seasonal moment is very important for our customer engagement. And then you think about how many promotions that you can see on screen. We do have several, promotion events for our customers, and they are really well, recognized by our customer base. So they already know to come and look for these products at this particular time. So we always encourage our brands to think about major retail moments like back to school, for instance. Of course, your holiday gift giving, right, season and things like that. Also, wellness focused events, because those are events that we often see the biggest engagement from our customer base.
I mean, Elisa brought up a good point. To win, you often do have to take advantage of promotions. I don't think that's exclusive to Macy's. You have to get that visibility, and there's ways to do it, and wherever you're selling. Though we know from doing what we do at Challenge, and that pricing can take quite a bit of time. So at least the point is that it takes some time and investment to adjust and plan for these pricing promotions and sales. Matter of fact, I think Lisa, when it was the first set up, was actually with a competitor. So I think things are going smoother now to implement them. You can do them ahead of time with Challenge. So it's one of the features I'm most proud of what we do, our pricing engine. And so you can create these pricing rules ahead of time, knowing, you're working with your account manager at Macy's, right? So you're going to participate in these different events. You can plan ahead of time to schedule those pricing changes. You can also key in profit targets, right? So if you have a margin to keep in mind based on these inputs and these expenses, you can make sure that the price point does not go below it. So even though you're selling, that you're actually not losing money. And too often what we find is that you take advantage of these promotions and then you find out actually you lost a bit of money on all those sales. And so if it's something that you deal with now, a lot of time with pricing changes, promotions, it's something we can definitely help with. So when it comes to, all right, we're interested, what do we need to do? It's probably onboarding. How long is the onboarding going to take? What's that process? That's the next topic we want to talk about. So for Roy, for a brand that is ready to move, what does that onboarding journey look like? What is a realistic timeline to go live?
Yeah, I think the process is very comprehensive in terms of a typical case. Onboarding will start with a pre-work and onboarding prep, right? That it's going to include, making sure that we have alignment between the brand, the assortment and our category strategy. From there, we move through like contracting, integration, catalog preparation, assortment validation, and then obviously launching the products on site. That timeline can vary, and then that's really depend on how complex that integration process is with that particular seller. I think that's why having the support of a partner like Channel Engine is really important, because your team can help facilitate that, at least that technical integration piece. I think what I would generally say to brands is that expect that process to take more than a month. Obviously, brands that move the fastest are usually the ones that come prepared, right? So having their launch assortment ready, having the requirement content, ready to go. And then, of course, be ready to collaborate with our onboarding team.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we lost Damien.
Not great. On spot here.
Yeah, I mean, while he's out, I think I also want to kind of touch on a point that we are a really hands-on type of marketplace, right? And I think for our partners, what that means is that we are trying not to be the biggest marketplace, but we're trying to be the right marketplace. So we operate on a very curated model. So there's a lot of collaboration that needs to be upfront with our partners, right? Usually around strategy, category fit, and optimization. All of this really with an eye to long-term growth opportunities. So I think for brands, what that means is that we are not giving you a login and saying, hey, good luck to it, and be on your merry way. But we really want to work alongside of our partners to build a really strong customer experience, and then ultimately helping the brand and partners position themselves for sustainable growth. So I think that's the biggest thing that separates us from other channels. We really want to build, that common thread with our partners. I think the brands that perform the best treat the launch on site as the starting point, but not the finish line. So our best partners will continuously optimize their content, monitor their performance, participate in promotional opportunities like Elisa was talking about, and then overall trying to consistently improve their customer experience. So I think the brands that tend to, are the ones that have that mindset of set and forget, right? We really want collaboration. We encourage collaboration, and we're here to help our partners. Welcome back.
Cool.
Dan.
I think, yeah, my internet timed out there. So thanks for continuing. But going back to the onboarding, I want to make sure we get Elisa's input. There's a good amount of background noise. I'm not sure where it's coming from. But thinking back to your launch, Lisa, what surprised you the most about the onboarding process for Macy?
Sure, yeah. I think our onboarding experience was a little bit unconventional because, like I mentioned, we were already a dropship partner with Macy's. But what surprised me most was how much strategic planning went into the transition. Kind of like Roy was saying, the team was very hands-on. It wasn't just load items and go live. We had to think through on our side, kind of the assortment, the timing, content, product migration, and operational impact of moving the business over. After we were running both models for about a year, we did partner with the Macy's team and mutually decided to migrate our full business to the marketplace side. And that also required a lot of planning around timing, blackout periods, and the amount of time it takes to transition products over properly. Another thing that stood out is just how collaborative the Macy's team is overall. Some marketplaces, the relationships can feel very self-serve, but with Macy's, we had guidance, we had conversations around what was working, what we needed to adjust, and how to better position the brand. I would clarify that we didn't originally launch Macy's Marketplace through Channel Engine, but we did migrate to Channel Engine very recently, and that transition was seamless. Our Channel Engine onboarding specialist was extremely helpful in coordinating the timing of the migration and guiding us through all aspects of the process, from setup to testing to making sure we're aligned operationally before the transition happens. The biggest takeaway for me is that for both onboarding and migration, it's not just technical steps. There's a lot of strong coordination across content, pricing, inventory, operations, customer experience, and just having the right partner involved makes the biggest difference.
Nice. Yeah, it's we've done that quite a bit. So for any brand that's on the call today or listens to this after the fact, if you're asking about migration, whether it's Macy's or other channel, we are experts when it comes to migrating your business from, say, a competitor to Channel Engine without any disruption. So happy to talk about that. We are at 11:30 right now. I want one question to Elisa as well. Looking back, what's one thing that your team did that contributed, in your opinion, that contributed to a really successful launch? Or what advice would you give to those that are on the call that are preparing to launch? There's quite a few.
I think the biggest thing is just treating Macy's like a strategic partner and not just another marketplace feed. This has been one of my biggest priorities since I started at RG Berry, is just making sure we have great partnerships with our marketplace partners, and with Macy's, that's really allowed us to build strong relationships, stay close to the performance, talk through issues early, and identify new opportunities instead of only reacting when something was wrong. We also make sure that we really utilize Macy's resources that they have available for sellers. They have their self-help tools, their support tickets, their seller help reps have all been very helpful, especially if we're working through things like PDP issues or content questions or other operational needs. And I also think that Macy's is one of our channels that I think does an excellent job of always working on making updates that help sellers better manage their business. So, for example, they recently added a lot more seller metrics into the portal. And that gives brands better visibility into performance and helps teams understand where they should focus. So I think just the biggest advice would be make sure you come in ready, know your assortment strategy, have your strong content, all your pricing, your operations buttoned up, and then just be willing to test and learn and utilize your partners through Channel Engine and through Macy's. I think the brands that will do well are the ones that treat the launch as the beginning of the work, not the end, like Roy said.
Excellent. Excellent advice. We are going to go a little bit over here. So I'm going to go back to Roy. For brands listening, right, to wrap this up, for those listening, those taking this seriously, what's one thing you'd want them to know before they reach out?
I would say I would encourage brands to think beyond just getting on site, right? The brands that are successful, they are the brands that understand how they fit into the broader Macy's lifestyle ecosystem and that they can create value for our customer. So if you approach Macy's as strategic retail partnership rather than just another channel, you'll get more out of the relationship, right? A lot of times, I think partnership with channels can feel a bit transactional, and we definitely don't want our relationship with our partners to be that way. So we definitely want to be collaborative, right? So as Elisa mentioned, I think we mentioned countless time here in this call, come prepared, right? Come with a thoughtful assortment, be ready, have that long-term goal in mind. I think usually these are the brands that will achieve success with us. And then I think we mentioned earlier, key seasonal moment is just around the corner, right? With the second half of the year, I think now is the great time to join and be part of this year's holiday season. And I think our team will love to connect with every single one of you.
Perfect. Yeah. So 3 minutes passed. Here's our details. You can get in touch with us via the QR code. We're not going to have time to go through the Q&A, but love to talk to you after this. Again, if you reach out, and we can go over all those topics together. But I want to shout out to our guests, Roy and Elisa. Thanks so much for attending, and to our attendees, thanks for listening.